Hello there, my name is Not Important, and this is going to be a guide on how to play Terrorist Hunt in the most efficient way possible. Now for this guide I'm going to cover the main ideas right here, but I'm going to go through each map separately in different videos. Links are in the description below. Some people might not know, but playing Terrorist Hunt efficiently makes you win massive amounts of renown. I've seen tutorials on YouTube on how to farm for renown, but the problem I have with those is that they only cover one map. But personally, I like to play in all the maps. This is a chart of all the maps and modes I play when I'm farming for renown. Every map has at least one mode you can exploit. The reason why some of them are crossed off the list is because they either drain too much time, or they have too many angles to cover, or not enough angles to cover, or they simply need a lot of resources. If you want to play in those maps and modes, that's okay. It's not bad or impossible. It's just not intended for this type of strategy. For example, bomb in the presidential plane. It's gonna make you shoot a lot because it's tubular and doesn't have enough angles to cover. This is likely to drain your ammunition. Another example is Terrorist Hunt Classic. Unless you're playing on house, it's usually gonna take a lot of time to find and kill every enemy.
We've got the hostage. Get them to the extraction point.
Now the whole idea is to rush the objective as quickly as possible. For each map there's a different way to go about it. The most important factor is time. Replenishing your ammunition is going to be a big waste of time, so you should aim for the head when possible. Bomb defusal or hostage protection is where you're going to be spending more bullets. The key is to be precise, so you save ammo and avoid refills. Following this method makes playing Terrorist Hunt very difficult even in normal mode. It requires some skill, but it's nothing too impossible. If I spend 10 minutes failing, I can get more than 300 renown, which is more than I get from winning a casual match. Of course you get a lot more if you win. A good tip is to do it slowly at first until you get the hang of it. When you play as shield operators, every time you get too close to an enemy, he will try to melee you. For this reason, you should avoid using the melee option when you're too close to an enemy. The advantage of shield operators is that if you have the shield on the back, you can ignore the fire coming from behind you. You should keep your distance because the enemy will still try to melee you whether you have the shield in the front or not. You should only use the shield bash if the enemy is busy with something, like for example getting stunned by a bullet or a flash or reloading. Otherwise it's risky because it's basically a gamble and you can be the one who ends up instantly killed. Sometimes when you melee an enemy and he melees you back at the same exact time, you end up dying. This is because the shield is moved ever so slightly off the way for a fraction of a second. It doesn't matter what kind of shield you're using. As a last tip, you should always pay attention to the sound. I recommend headphones. You can listen for enemy movement and their voice cues. Often they will announce it when they decide to break cover and go looking for you. Extraction mode is the quickest of them all. You gotta run for the hostage and grab it as soon as you can. However, you want to be careful with the suicide bombers. There will be two in any given map, but sometimes you might be able to sneak past one or maybe both of them. Yet the ideal thing to do is to kill them both. Still, the most important thing is to do it as quickly as possible.
We have the hostage.
The number of kills or points that you get doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the time.
Keep the hostage safe. Hostiles approach.
For the maximum amount of renown, You want to do it in less than 3 minutes.
Hostage extraction successful.
Depending on the map, you might need to break some barbed wire that's in your way, but unless you're using sledge, you should keep this to a minimum. Same goes for C4. If it's in your way or in line of sight, you might want to shoot it to get some extra points, otherwise you should prioritize the hostage. Using your primary gadget will give you extra points, so you should do it when possible.
Secure the hostage.
However, keep in mind that finishing quickly is still your main priority.
Secured. Move to the extraction point.
Sometimes you can tell if the hostage is in a room before even entering if you can see the refill icon. Once you are running with the hostage, there will always be 3 enemies that spawn in the extraction zone. The remaining enemies will also converge into the extraction zone as well. With a good exit strategy, you will be able to make it before most of the other enemies. During the final moment, it's likely that you can take 1 or 2 hits. So you should only rush the objective if you have good health. Otherwise you might want to take it slow, since you get more points by winning than losing. The best choice for extraction is the smoke grenade. The smoke will help you cover the extraction zone when you reach it. If you start shooting inside the smoke, however, the AI will target you and start shooting in the general direction that the noise from your gun is coming from.
Successful. Good work.
You can also use a silencer, which helps mask your position throughout the match. The downside is that you deal less damage, so it's up to you. The second best choice for this mode is the flash grenade. This will help you stun your enemies once you're near the extraction zone. Unlike the smoke grenade, you should be more careful in how you throw it, or you could blind yourself. Also, it doesn't last as long. You should always save your 3 tactical grenades for the end when you're extracting the hostage. The third choice, in case your operator doesn't have smokes nor flash grenades, would be the claymore. The claymore cannot be placed down while you're carrying the hostage, so you should use it before you grab him. For bomb defusal, you can take twice the amount of time because there's 2 objectives and there's twice the amount of suicide bombers. There will be 2 at the beginning, and there's gonna be an additional 1 for each time you start the defusing cycle. For this mode, you need to have a route that covers all the 4 possible locations for the bomb in the least amount of time. There are many different ways to go about this, and the ones that I showcase in my videos are just the ones that I found to be the most comfortable and convenient. The best gadget choice for bomb defusal would be the breaching charge. The second best would be the claymore. Keep in mind that you only have 1 and you cannot replenish it.
Diffuser plan.
If you don't have claymores or breaching charges, you should go with grenades.
Used in 5 seconds. 50 seconds to go.
Montagne is the only operator so far who doesn't have any explosive gadgets. For him, I recommend the flash grenade, since it'll buy you some time during the bomb defusal.
Used in 5 seconds.
There's 3 things you have to keep in mind during the defusing cycle: points, traps, and cover. The amount of time the diffuser takes to defuse the bomb does not depend on you. So during this time you can focus on points.
45
You should only kill the enemy once he has started to break the diffuser.
Enemy has located the diffuser. 5
Once
seconds.
this happens, the diffuser location icon is gonna turn from yellow to red. So you don't have to be looking directly at the diffuser. You get a lot more points by killing the guy breaking the diffuser than any other guy who's just standing by. However, you should kill them if they see you or accidentally bump into you. Headshots, using gadgets, and even rappelling outside a window gives you extra points. Now about traps. Breaching charges are the best option because you can place them on the ground right next to the diffuser and then blow them remotely. Breaching charges are not deadly unless you're right next to them. So a good way to make a trap out of them is to place them on the ground, then turn around 180 degrees and place the diffuser. Enemies can target and destroy a breaching charge if it's on the wall, but they will not destroy it if it's on the floor. If your operator doesn't have any breaching charges, you can go for the claymore, but you only get one, so you should place it wisely. With fuse, you can put both a breaching charge and a cluster bomb at the same time. Thermite and Hibana's gadgets are not very good traps, however. Once you start the diffuser, the enemies will converge in your position. Also, an entire wave of new enemies will spawn somewhere outside the map. Before they get to the diffuser, you want to go to a position where you have sufficient cover. Hanging outside a window out of sight is a good option. But, since there's a new wave of enemies coming from the outside, there's a good chance they'll spot you if you're unlucky. This is why you should hang upside down so you can shoot them back if necessary.
Found the diffuser. 15 seconds to go. Enemy has located the diffuser.
You want to make as little visual contact with the enemy as possible, because once they know where you are, other enemies might try to flank you.
Hostiles have located the diffuser.
If you're low on health, you should stay hidden as much as possible, ignoring all the points that you might be getting otherwise.
Have located the diffuser.
In cases like this, Twitch can come in handy because you can harass whoever's trying to break the diffuser with your drone. You won't get any kills, but you can stay hidden all the time and prevent the diffuser from being broken.
15 seconds left.
The target time you're looking for is around 6 minutes or maybe a little more.
Enemy has located the
Remember that the number one priority is the time, so if you're taking 8 or 9 minutes, you're going too slow. Now for hostage protection in normal mode, you only need to worry about one suicide bomber. He will arrive at the final wave and, as like any other mode, you should shoot him in the head. Shooting him with a shotgun is a bad idea. You should switch to your sidearm for a suicide bomber if your primary weapon is only a shotgun. The strategy for the defense mode is all about picking the right place and the right way to defend it so you can survive better and accumulate the most wins.
the area. Hostiles regrouping.
Like any other mode, you should avoid refills. Instead of replenishing ammunition, your time could be better spent reinforcing and prepping. Depending on the map, many doorways should remain open so you can properly maneuver. But you should always keep in mind that the hostage must remain out of sight. A typical protection round in normal mode would last around 5 minutes or maybe a little more. Sometimes, depending on the map, it's better to save the metallic reinforcements for when you really need them. This is because they take too long to deploy. Sometimes during idle time, if I have nothing better to do, I like to reinforce the same window over and over to get some extra points.
Keep the hostage safe.
I personally stick to shields or barbed wire because I find them more useful than the other gadgets. When you're defending, you want to choose a room that doesn't have too many angles to cover. The best way to use metallic reinforcements is as shields. The enemy can shoot you through most walls, so a metallic reinforcement can give you an extra cover when you need it. As a defender, a shotgun is a better option because you don't waste as many bullets and you can kill enemies quicker.
Hostiles remaining.
However, sometimes you need a weapon with a better range. Most of the time it's better to choose a room that doesn't have a trapdoor. You should always try to use your operator's special abilities because it gives you extra points. Killing enemies while they are rappelling also gives you more
Threat has
points.
been eliminated.
For example, you get more points by killing somebody with Caveira during Silent Step or with Tachanka's turret than using your regular gun. Another way of getting extra points is letting the enemy place down the breaching charges and then destroy them before they get a chance to blow them. To do this, you can either pay attention to the sounds or you can sneak behind the enemies. When using SMGs, it's likely you'll be running on fumes by the end of the match, so you should manage your ammo carefully.
The threat has been eliminated. Hostiles approaching.
When playing as Jaeger, you can do one of two things. You can place the ADS next to a shield since the enemy is likely to throw grenades at it. Or you can put it underneath hatch. Note how it's placed in a covered position so other enemies are not able to see it so easily. This is gonna allow the ADS to intercept smoke grenades that the enemy will throw down the hatch before jumping down. With Bandit, you can prevent a wall from ever being breached, or you can simply use shock wire. It should be placed around corners because otherwise the enemy can shoot down the batteries.
Secure the area.
Unlike the regular wire, the shock wire can stop enemies for a longer period of time, and you can even score some kills.
Op 4 has eyes on the
What happens with the shock wire is that the enemy is getting constantly shocked while he's trying to melee the wire. This prevents the enemy from destroying the wire, but sometimes they manage to hit it.
hostiles neutralized. Safe.
Either shock wire or regular wire can be repaired by picking it up and placing it back down before it's completely destroyed. When playing as Castle, you should avoid putting Kevlar barricades on windows. This is because most likely they will be immediately destroyed like a regular barricade. If you put him on doorways, however, most of the time the enemy will try to melee his way through. This will buy you some time, allowing you to deal with enemies coming from other directions instead of both at the same time. One thing you should know is that the only enemies carrying thermite charges are suicide bombers and shielded enemies in normal mode. As a defender, you get slightly less renown than you get as an attacker, but all you have to do is survive and you don't have to rush any objective. Oh, and by the way, the suicide bomber will not detonate if he's too close to the hostage, whether it being extraction or protection. As a last tip, you should keep in mind that this game, unlike many others, is constantly changing and getting frequent updates and patches. This means that some of the things that I talk about in this or any of my other videos may change over time, such as gadgets, operator properties, or AI behavior.